welcome to I Am Not Your Tour Guide, but I am your host, Charlotte Skelton. This is season 2 of I Am Not Your Tour Guide, which I am super excited about. We have a lot of people to talk to this season. We're going to continue digging into the lives and adventures of people who love to travel. And we all have different perspectives on travel. And that's one of the things I love most, just to hear who loves what and what brings, what joy people take out of certain aspects of travel. And so today I'm so excited. I'm actually interviewing somebody that I just met for the first time 5 minutes ago. We have mutual friends, mutual traveling partners. So I want to introduce today's guest. It is Melanie Tucci. She is coming to us from St. Louis, and she is the owner and operator of Travel Light. And she is here today, and I cannot wait to pick your brain. Hello, Melanie. How are you?
Hi, Starla. I am great. Yeah, I'm super excited. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm very excited to talk to you. And we have some mutual friends who love them, and they are travelers as well. And I saw that recently you took a little trip with one of our mutual friends, Shums. Can we give her a shout out?
Yes. Hello, Shums. I hope you're listening. I love you, Shums. Yeah,
She's awesome.
We went to Oregon together. It was so much fun. We had a little girls' weekend and rented a cabin and went kayaking and hiked to waterfalls and went to wineries. It was awesome.
That's just sounds perfect.
Yeah, it was.
That sounds awesome. So we'll get, at the end of this podcast, you'll have plenty of time. You can promote anything and everything, but tell me a little bit about Travel Light, about your company and what you do.
Sure. So I started Travel Light a couple of years ago because I have been traveling for over a decade, like several international trips a year. So I've been to a lot of different places and just have had the most incredible experiences. So people started asking me, can I come on your trip? But I'm more of a solo travel gal or go with a friend or two. And so for the longest time, I was like, no, I don't really take groups on travel, on my adventures. So I wanted to incorporate travel even more into my lifestyle. So just a couple of years ago, I decided, what the heck, I'm so good at organizing these trips. Why don't I take a group of people with me on these incredible adventures? So I started Travel Light. And the first trip that we did was to the Tour de Mont Blanc in Europe, which is a 12-day, 105-mile hike. And the fact that there are other people in the world who want to do those type of trips with me is just amazing. And we had so much fun. So we have gone on several other adventures, and we've done Patagonia and Panama, and we're going to hike the AV1, the Alta Via 1 in Italy next summer, which is a 75-mile hike in the Dolomites.
That's your target market is more for people who like the adventure side of travel that are active, correct?
It really is, just because that's what I love, and that's what I love to plan. So you're never going to see me post a trip that is going to be at a resort or sitting on the beach for a week. We're always going to be doing something active. Yeah.
And that's my kind of trip as well. Because some people I have a lot of friends who love to just go and lay on the beach for a week, and I love that for them. But again, those aren't the people who should probably call you.
Yes. And I've had a lot of people who are like, whenever you do a beach trip, I'll come. And I'm like, okay, but that might never happen. So yeah, it's just what I'm super passionate about. I love I love outdoor adventures. So that's what I do when I travel.
That's awesome. Yeah. And so through our mutual friends of ours, I have heard that more stories just about all your adventures and, like you were just telling us, adventure travel. So I'm wondering, who in your life has been the most influential in terms of inspiring you to travel and get outdoors and just go?
So it's kind of funny because if you looked at my family, you would never think that this travel adventure person could come out of this family. My parents don't travel, my grandparents didn't travel. I find it so interesting when people are like, "Oh yeah, I got inspired by my grandma who went to 50 countries." And I'm like, nobody in my family hardly travels at all. So
Mm,
it's kind of funny, but my biggest inspiration was my sister. So she kind of paved the way for me to have this travel life. And then I kind of put my own spin on it with the adventure travel because that is something that I just kind of fell into that
mhm.
I had never really it's kind of a funny story. I can tell you how I fell into it, but so my sister is 8 years older,
Okay.
and so I always looked up to her as a kid. And she decided, I don't know how she made this decision because nobody in our family travels, but she decided to study abroad when she was in college. So she went to Costa Rica and she spent a semester there, and she spent a semester in London. And my parents actually took me to both of those places to visit her. So I got to see her living this travel life, and
Mm.
she continued that after college. So I got to visit her when she was in the Peace Corps in El Salvador. And so I got to go on
Wow.
a lot of adventures before I even went to college. So that was, she really was the person that I looked up to. And I mean, if I didn't see her doing those things, I don't know. Maybe I would have fallen into travel, but I
Yeah.
don't know. I think my life would be really different.
Yeah. Is she one of the people still in your life that if you had an amazing trip that you would call and be like, "Oh, you got to hear about my trip?" Because, and the reason I ask this is because once, as you know, once you start doing all these travels, there is a limited amount of people that you call and talk to them about, because it's like some people just won't get it or understand why you did it or why
Mhm.
you took a 30-hour plane ride to get somewhere to do it. So it
Yeah.
kind of, I feel like there's a limited amount of people we actually talk to about travel. So is your sister still one of your people?
She's really not. I mean, and I've just learned that over my years of travel, I've learned that nobody really wants to hear your stories.
No.
And that's why I love this podcast because I love to hear people's stories. And I've
Yeah.
listened to all of your episodes and I just love it. I mean, that's how I spend my free time. If I'm going on a walk, I'll download a travel podcast and listen to people talk about travel because I just love it. But
Yeah.
you learn that, and especially after you go on so many trips. Like if I went on a trip once every 5 years, I think everyone would maybe be interested in hearing about it. But if
Yes.
I'm going somewhere a few times a year, everyone's like, kind of uninterested at this point.
Yes.
There's a few people who, like my mom, will still. She asks to see photos. She's probably just being nice, but she still humors me and listens to my stories and asks me questions and stuff. But most other
Oh.
people are kind of just like, oh yeah, where are you going next? And that's kind of
Yeah.
like the question rather than like, what did you see over there? And
Yeah.
I also do a really good job of documenting my trips on Instagram and Facebook. So
Right.
people see what I'm doing and have a good idea of, what I'm actually up to on my trip. So maybe that's another reason why people aren't like, what'd you see? Where'd you go? Because
Yeah.
they kind of already know. But yeah, most people, and I think it's just that they can't really relate. I think that's
Mhm.
one of the reasons why a lot of people don't want to aren't really interested because they don't know how to, if they've never experienced something like that, it's kind of hard to engage
Mhm.
with that if it's not something that lights them up.
Right. I think that's a good point to make. If it's not something that lights them up, I was thinking earlier. I'm like, have the people, the hardcore travelers, become like the CrossFit vegans of the world, where it's like, that's all we want to talk about, but nobody really cares. Nobody, because, if you're not into it, if you're not into CrossFit, I don't care. Like, I don't care what you deadlifted or whatever. But I don't know if that's what we've become, or like you said, that we've already put it out there on social media. Mm-hmm. So maybe they just don't have as many questions to ask. I don't know, but I'm curious. But I do love how you said nobody really likes to listen, because that's the whole reason I started this podcast. I was like, nobody wants to talk about travel. So I want to hear people's stories, and like, just to give them a platform.
I love it.
And so, yeah. And so I did stalk your Facebook once, your friends kind of introduced me to you and all that good stuff. And I was looking at some of your TikToks. I loved one of them, fell in love. And the dialogue on it said, "I'm a type 2 fun kind of girl. This means I do miserable things and look back as if it were fun." And one of the reasons I freaking loved it is because I could relate to it. So it just made me start thinking about you and your style of travel. Have you always been a type 2 traveler?
I have not always been that way. I think that started when I started these outdoor adventures, because a lot of times, like, you're not just sitting there comfortable holding a drink on the beach. Like, a lot of my trips, I'm hiking a lot of miles. Maybe not having access to showers, and maybe there's rain and wind and I can't get indoors for several hours. So once I started with the outdoor adventures, which was back in about 2014, then I really got addicted to this type 2 fun type of thing. So in the moment, sometimes I'm like, what the heck am I doing? And you just really experience the highest highs and some lows. It's just the adventure of it all is just kind of addicting. Like, for me, it was, at least after I did my first trek, which was in Nepal in 2014. That's when I kind of like fell into adventure travel. I went to Nepal by myself. It was my first like true solo trip. Like, I was completely alone. I didn't know a single person there.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what I was going to do in Nepal. I was just going to Kathmandu. I hadn't even done that much research. I met a group of people in Pokhara, and they were going trekking, and I was like, oh, maybe I should go trekking.
Yeah.
And I ended up doing the Annapurna Base Camp trek with them, which is like a 7-day trek in the Himalayas. And I had barely even been hiking before. And so I do this 7-day trek, and I just completely fell in love with it. Like, I fell in love with, really, one of my favorite things is the bonding experience that you get from trips like that, because we spent 7 days together. We weathered storms, and we were uncomfortable, and we didn't have showers, and we just had the time of our lives, like summer camp, like just so much fun, not a care in the world. So that's when I really got into this type 2 adventure travel. And since then I've done it all over the world. I've been on several multi-day hikes. That's my favorite thing to do, obviously, keep talking about it. And I've found myself in a couple sticky situations that are definitely type 2 fun, but I keep going back. So
yeah, it's addicting, right? So addicting.
It is.
The people that you met and bonded with in Nepal on the Annapurna trek, are you still in contact with any of them?
It has been almost 10 years. So we stayed in touch for several years. Yeah. And I actually ended up, I had a 2-week trip booked to Nepal. And I ended up extending it to 7 weeks. I stayed with them. I stayed with that same group of girls for 5 weeks, and we went on a safari, and we did 2 Himalayan treks, and we just had the best freaking time. So
that's so awesome. And I just, not to make this about me, but I just have to relate to you and let you know that of all my trips, Nepal is my number one. Like it is my number one. It's like if I can figure out a way to live there one day and just make my life in the Himalayas around some prayer flags and, I just, that's my dream. So one
That,
day, but I
yeah.
just want to let you know, whenever you said the word Nepal, I was like, oh, like I got tingly inside and I'm
Yes.
like, oh, I know what she's feeling.
Yes, it gives me chills. It's lately I've been really loving on Colombia, but in my heart, Nepal is number one.
That's
It
awesome.
really is.
That's awesome.
And I feel like
So
anybody who's been there can relate to that feeling.
to that sentiment for sure.
Yeah.
While we're talking about some of your favorite places, for our listeners, a lot of people, they'll listen to these podcasts and they'll be like, oh, I didn't even know that place existed. It's going on my bucket list. So are there any cities or countries as a whole that you would recommend to any of our listeners? Like, hey, put this on your list.
Yeah, absolutely. So I already mentioned Colombia. And specifically, I would say Medellin, Colombia,
Mm-hmm.
is probably my favorite city in the world. Like
Wow.
I could live there and have the best life, and maybe someday I will. I love it there. It's like a futuristic, just incredibly like lively city with amazing food and nightlife, and everyone's super friendly. It's very affordable. It's
Mm-hmm.
set in a valley surrounded by these lush green hills, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just stunning. It's like being in the jungle, but you're in a city. Like you'll walk down the street and there's just like tropical fruit trees everywhere and flowers, and it's just lush and 70 degrees all the time. Like it's amazing. It's an absolute dream. So I love
Oh,
Medellin. Highly recommend going there.
okay.
Another place in Colombia that I love is Cali. So that is a lesser traveled to destination in Colombia, but I went there and it's the salsa dancing capital of the world. So I went and I spent a week just taking salsa lessons, and it was so much fun. So that is, if you're a little adventurous, gotta be a little adventurous to go to Cali. But if you're a little adventurous and you like to dance, it was one of the best weeks of my life. It was a blast. And
Wow.
then fresh in my mind because I just went there is Porto, Portugal. If you like Harry Potter, you have to go there.
Wow. What
The
part of Portugal is it in? Okay.
northwest Portugal.
Okay.
So it was only about I want to say like a 3 hour drive from Lisbon,
Awesome.
and it I could spend that's another place that I could live. I could spend days and days just wandering around the
Yeah.
little streets, and there's a river that runs through it. You can go on like sunset dinner cruises, and it's just absolutely beautiful. So Porto, Colombia, Nepal.
Of course. Of course.
You have to be adventurous as well, but go to Nepal. It's amazing. Go on a trek.
Mm,
Seeing the Himalayas, I think, is something that everyone should experience.
you really should. It's like a
Yeah.
once in a lifetime thing. You're like, well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love looking at mountains anywhere I go. But once you see the Himalayas, you're like,
You're so
oh my
spoiled. Yeah.
gosh. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man, yes. So my question for you about Colombia is, does Travel Light offer any trips there at this time or maybe in the future?
Yeah, so I just launched a trip yesterday. So this podcast is at the perfect time. So I am hosting a group trip to Colombia, March 8th to the 17th.
Awesome.
And we are doing the Caribbean coast. So we're starting in Cartagena, which
Hmm.
is just, have you been to Cartagena?
Once, yes, but
It's
I didn't get to explore it like I wanted to.
It's a
So
yeah, it's a really beautiful city right on the water, and then we're staying in the walled city, which is like this ancient fortress, and it's going to be awesome. We'll learn a lot about the history of that area, and we'll
okay.
also take a salsa dancing class, and then we're going to do the Lost City trek.
Oh, that'll be
So
awesome.
I plan a lot of my trips around treks believe it or not. And so I've been wanting to do the Lost City trek for several years. So it's a 4-day jungle trek to an ancient city that is, I think it's 400 years older than Machu Picchu. So it's just this like really beautiful, lush, green rolling hills. You learn a lot about the indigenous cultures that are still living in those areas. So that's going to be really awesome. And then we are topping it off with a day at a beach for those who like to lay on the beach, and in Tayrona National Park, which is just this stunning national park on the Caribbean coast that I've been to twice. And I can't wait to go back because it's like mystical, like just absolutely gorgeous. I love it.
How many days is this Colombia trip?
So we start on the 8th and departures are on the 17th. So I believe it's 9 full days.
Okay. So whenever you're planning these adventures, is there a certain criteria that these adventures have to meet in order for you to be like, hey, yeah, this is what I want to do? Or is it just something that at some point in life you saw something or you went there or you landed there and it's just a feeling you get and you're like, I want to bring people back? Like, how do you plan these?
It usually starts with the desire to do a certain hike for me, of course. So I'm like, I really want to do the Lost City, but I'm going to add some more, fun on each end so that people can see a little bit more of Colombia rather than just going to the Lost City. And then my next group trip it's sold out. Unfortunately, people keep asking if there's more space. Who knew that so many people wanted to hike 75 miles with me? But that one started with I did the Tour de Mont Blanc, and then the next, usually people will go and do the AV one. That's kind of like the next trek from the Tour de Mont Blanc. And so it's just started with the idea to do that, and just kind of built in a couple days on each end, again, of like rest and relaxation and massage. And so that's generally how my trips will start. And once in a while, like with my trip to Portugal, that wasn't a group trip. It was just a me and my best friend trip. But that was just we've been seeing, I don't know about you, but I've been seeing so much about Portugal on social media. Like everybody I know is going to Portugal, and they have been for several years. So a couple weeks opened up and I'm like, I got to see what all the fuss is about. So ended up going to Portugal, and it was absolutely amazing. So I also want to, in the future, plan a group trip to Portugal because there's so many people who want to go there. And that one will not be hike focused.
Right.
That'll be more of a cities, culture, beaches kind of trip when I get that one planned. Food. Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Between Colombia and Nepal and Portugal, those are probably your top 3 picks for now, saying, hey, put them on your list?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's a solid top 3.
Those are a solid top 3.
Yeah.
I do want to transition a little bit, and anybody, if you've listened to the podcast, I'm a quote nerd. So have this quote from Samuel Johnson, and I'm going to read it. He says, "The mind is never satisfied with the objects immediately before it, but it is always breaking away from the present moment and losing itself in schemes of future felicity. The natural flights of the human mind are not from pleasure to pleasure, but from hope to hope." So as a traveler, I sometimes feel like I struggle with the anxiety of longing for like this next trip. And so my question is, do you ever find it difficult to live in the moment in your daily life? Or have you figured out some secret to the life travel balance that we all kind of strive to find?
I have not figured this out.
Let me know if you do.
Let me know if you do. Yeah, it's true. I would say that I always have a trip planned, and when I get back, I start thinking about the next one, and it really, that is a struggle for sure to just be present and to really appreciate where you are and really just the simple things in life and not having to run off around the world to find this happiness. It's
Yeah.
definitely like a feeling that I'm chasing when I go
Yeah.
out and do these trips. But I just love it so much.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I definitely want to work more on finding that balance between looking forward to a trip, planning a trip, and also just appreciating everything that I have right in front of me every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. And this, I don't know why that's so hard for me sometimes. I don't know if that's just like the wanderlust that is grown within me.
Yeah.
But I like that you pointed that out. I'm trying to find more happiness in just my day to day and not just focus on, oh man, when's my next trip? I mean, it's great to have something to look forward to,
Right.
but like, I feel like I should just enjoy my everyday as well. You know?
Right.
Does that make
Right. And yeah, a lot of times I think like I have seen the most beautiful, unimaginable things. And after you see those things, I don't know, maybe we're just a little spoiled. Maybe we're maybe we're just a little spoiled because I mean I live in St. Louis and there's plenty of beauty around. It's fall right now.
Mhm.
The weather's amazing. I mean, I absolutely appreciate all of it. A harder part for me is the winter here when it gets really cold and it's not green anymore and everything just kind of loses its color. And then I'm like, oh my God, get
Mhm.
me out of here. Like there are places in the world that don't have this. Like Colombia, it's green all year round. And yeah, I definitely I struggle with that too, with wanting to be elsewhere. And I think that real joy is found in just being where you are.
Yeah.
And there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with looking forward to a trip, but
Mhm.
being right here is, there's so much gold to be found in just being present, but I haven't quite figured that out yet.
One more kind of deep question, and then we'll go back to a little bit more fun stuff. But in your everyday life, you are a real estate agent, correct?
I am a real estate investor, so I don't actually
Okay.
have my agent's license, but I do
Yeah.
work full time in real estate.
Okay. So this is kind of based off your field of expertise. So do you believe that the idea or the concept of quote unquote home or having a home to come back to is the secret to what makes travel great? For example, just to give an example to kind of open it up a bit, if we were constantly on the move, like nomadic in nature, with no home to return to, would the art of travel be something that we like craved and desired and look forward to, or would it just be blah? Like,
Hmm.
do you love the feeling of having a home to come back to? You think that's part of travel?
Yeah, yeah, I do. I think that it's important to have a home base and to have a space that is yours. And yeah, to really be able to build a life. It's kind of hard to be nomadic. It's hard,
Mm-hmm.
it makes it harder to have long lasting relationships and friendships. I spent 9 months traveling with my best friend back in 2019, and I started to really crave stability
Mm-hmm.
and being in one place and having my things in a dresser instead of unpacking them from a backpack every couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
And I really started, I had the desire to build something, to stay somewhere for a while and build something.
Yeah.
So that is kind of hard when you're traveling. And I think that I mean, like living here and going on these adventures abroad, I appreciate every single thing that I see so much.
Mm-hmm.
But once you're traveling, like let's say you spend 3 months in Europe, well, you get sick of castles. You're like, oh, another castle. Oh, another amazing church. And then even in Patagonia, you're like, oh my gosh, another glacier. And it's like these things that are so amazing, but when you're in it and you see those things every single day, I think you kind of like you lose a little bit of the appreciation. But So I do love that part of going to a new place. And I mean, my
Hmm.
mind was blown constantly in Portugal. Everything I saw, I was like, oh my God, to every single thing. I think it makes it more special
Yeah.
to have this like kind of stable home life, which maybe you're not trekking the Himalayas every day, but you
Hmm.
do appreciate those experiences so much when you kind of have that contrast.
Yeah. The contrast of it. Yeah, I like that. That's a good answer. And I haven't thought about that. I am curious though, are there any myths about travel that you would like to debunk right now? Like what are some things that like maybe your family has been like, "Oh, was it that scary?" And you're like, "No." Like, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of stereotypes about travel. So is there anything you could debunk for
Right.
us?
Yeah. Well, you touched on one there. So I would say the things that I would want to debunk are that travel is dangerous and
Mhm.
that it's expensive because I spent 9 months in South America and my budget for that was about $12,000.
Mm.
So travel does not have to be expensive. If
Right.
you want to travel and you don't have a lot of money, there are ways to do it. So that's one of them. That travel being dangerous. So there's a good chance that I'm in more danger here in St. Louis than most
Probably.
places that I travel to. So I've been to 32 countries around the world and I have felt really, I mean, generally safe almost everywhere I go.
That's awesome.
And I've never been in what felt like a really dangerous situation.
Hmm.
Maybe I've been lucky, knock on wood. I do think that I have a lot of luck. I
Yeah.
like to think that when I follow my heart and go on a trip, that everything just kind of works out for me because it always does. I always have the best weather and the best luck with literally everything. It's awesome. That also just comes with a lot of experience traveling. But yeah, I mean, traveling is not, the world is not some scary place.
Right.
It's really full of the kindest people and the most beautiful places you could ever imagine. So that's really what I want people to know about travel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you mentioned right before we started this that you have a fiance. Are you and him on the same like travel level?
He loves to travel. He has
Okay.
not had as many opportunities to travel as I have, but and it's so great because he's not necessarily a hiker. He's from Florida. Florida people, I would say, are generally
Mhm.
not hikers. They're from the flatlands. And when I brought up the Tour de Mont Blanc, the 105-mile hike, I was like, "Would you want to do something like that?" And he was like, "Yes."
Wow.
And so he went out and he did that hike with me, and we've been to several places now together. And he always comes on my group trips. I
Yeah.
am the planner, the organizer. I have the itinerary. I make sure everything's moving, and he
Yeah.
is like the fun.
Oh,
So
that's great.
yeah, so it's really perfect. He makes sure that everyone's having fun, and he's also a stand-up comedian. So he did a comedy set for everyone on our last group trip, and it
Are
was
you
so
serious?
fun.
I would be
Yeah.
upselling. I would charge people extra for that. And we need to upsell because your own personal comedian. Oh my
Yes.
God.
Oh my
That is
gosh. That's so
amazing.
true. Yeah, I'm gonna start promoting that.
You should.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that might have its own market. Oh man, you can make some money off that. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
you're right. You're right. Okay, I'm glad I brought that up. That's so true.
Ah, I love that. Well, I love that he loves to travel as well.
Yeah.
I have a partner. We've been together for 5 years, and our probably like our favorite date night that's local would be to go to REI. There is a 3-story REI where we live, and we will literally go and walk around for hours, and we'll just like, oh, look at this stove, look at the newest
Yes.
upgrade, look at how this extra pocket that they put on the inside of this shirt that I'll never use. But oh my God, look, it has an extra pocket. I mean, we just really get into hiking and anything outdoors. So it's fun to be able to share that with your person. So
Yeah.
that's really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Oh, well, good. And did you two, I'm just curious, did you two meet in St. Louis?
We met in Denver.
Oh, awesome.
We met in Denver in 2019, right before I went on my big trip to South America.
Okay.
And we were, we kind of kept in touch while I was gone. And he came to visit
Oh,
me a couple of times. And then we moved to St. Louis together a couple years ago. And we actually just got engaged in Colombia in July. So
congrats. Oh,
thanks.
did you know it was going to happen?
No, it was like we kind of stumbled into this jewelry store, and Colombia is known for emeralds. And I saw this ring, and we had talked about getting engaged. And I saw this ring and I was like, oh my God, I want that to be my engagement ring. So I picked it out, got it sized, and then he proposed the next night.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's beautiful. Which city was this in Colombia?
In Cartagena.
Oh man. So Cartagena is going to have a special place in your heart
Yes.
forever.
Yes, it is.
Forever,
Yeah,
forever.
it gives me chills. Yeah.
Well, congrats on that.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome. I love how he just incorporated it into traveling as well, because
Yes.
that's you, you know?
It completely felt right. Yeah, it was the perfect moment.
That's so cool. So even though I don't really know you, I'm just getting to know you on this podcast, which has been so much fun listening to your stories and your perspective of hiking, because I freaking love hiking. So I love hearing where you've hiked and all that. So I do have a couple just like blind would you rather questions for you, because these are fun to me. I don't know why I love them, but I love them.
Let's do it.
So if you were going on a hiking trip, just really go for a stretch here. Okay, think about it. You're going on a hiking trip, and you had to have your mom blindly pack your backpack for you, or your fiance. So either your mom or your fiance, they pack the entire thing. You have no idea what they pack, and you take it and you go on your trip and you just hope for the best. Which one are you choosing?
Okay, both make me nervous, but definitely my fiance. Definitely my fiance. Yeah.
Okay, he might have a little bit better idea of what you need.
Yes, since I've been taking him on hiking trips, I think he would know what to put in there.
Okay, good. Okay, so this question I wrote before I really started talking to you. So I feel like I might know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyways. So would you rather spend more money on food or on daily transportation when you're traveling?
Food.
Okay.
Definitely on food. I eat constantly when I'm traveling.
And your transportation a lot of times is walking.
Yeah,
so
my feet. Yeah, so I'll spend all my money on food and just walk everywhere.
Do you have a particular food that you crave the most?
This is kind of embarrassing, but pizza.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I eat pizza everywhere I go.
Do you?
Not exclusively pizza, but everywhere I go, I will definitely seek out the best pizza place.
I had my brother and his wife lived in Morocco for about 5 or 6 years. So when I went there to visit them, they took me to this restaurant, and on the menu, I was like, oh my God, they have pizza here? Like, we had been eating olives for like a week. So I was like, give me a piece of pizza. So I ordered this pizza, and it was hysterical because it was like a cracker, like a crispy cracker, not like thin crust. I'm talking like a cracker, like saltines, and some sort of, whatever cheese they had access to. It was like cheese on top of it. And then they put some like, again, their version of tomato sauce, but it was the funniest little thing. I mean, it looked like a personal pan, but like on a cracker. It was hysterical. And I was like, okay, so there are places in the world where I'm not going to order a pizza.
Yeah. Okay. I'll take note of that. If I go to Morocco again, I will not get pizza.
I'm sure there's some good pizza somewhere in Morocco, but it was just my experience with it wasn't it.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't it. I ended up eating the olives instead that they put on the table for free, which was fun.
That's awesome.
Okay, so last question. If you had the opportunity to sit first class in an airplane for a 12-hour flight, but you had to sit right next to a baby, are you choosing first class sitting next to the baby, or are you choosing coach?
First class. No doubt about it. If I had the opportunity to sit first class, I would sit next to anyone.
Oh yeah. My daughter, she's 18, and it's like a bucket list item for her to fly first class one day. And I'm like, I've had the opportunity a couple times, and I'm like, it's the best thing ever. The best thing ever. I'm just like, and I'm a budget traveler, but I was at one point in my life, I was a flight attendant. So I got lucky and, got to do some first class action. And man, I don't care. I claim to love adventure, but man, if you're like, hey, you want the adventure of coach or the adventure of first class, I'm taking first class.
First class, baby. Yes. I got lucky on my flight to Portugal. I think it was a 9-hour flight, and I had all 3 seats to myself in coach. So I laid down across all the seats, and I had my seatbelt on, but I laid down across all the seats, and I slept most of the flight, and it was like my version of first class. So sometimes you get really lucky, but it's pretty rare.
Yes. I've loved talking to you. I could just see how much you love travel and that you're super passionate about it, and that you want to give other people that experience who may not have the confidence that you have, or may not have had just the experience that you had and aren't comfortable with it. So I love that you're giving other people the opportunity to get outside and just kind of get out here and experience something new. So do me a favor, tell me a little bit, promote anything you want to promote right now. Like, where can we find you? If somebody wants to book something with you, how do we do that?
Yeah, so I am working on a website, but for now, go to my Instagram. That's where you can find all the information about my upcoming trips. So follow me on Instagram. It's Travel Tucci, like my last name, Tucci. So travel and then TOOCH. And that's where you can find out about my travel light trips. You'll see me posting a lot about the one to Colombia in March. I just launched it yesterday, so I have space on that trip. If anybody wants to join, I would love to chat with you and see if it's a good fit. And then, just be on the lookout, because once I get my website up, then you'll have the opportunity to book a call with me to chat about travel. I can help you plan your trips. And also, I work in real estate. I invest in real estate here in St. Louis. So I operate midterm rentals, which are furnished rentals for traveling healthcare workers, like traveling nurses. And I get passive income from that, which is one of the ways that I have created so much freedom in my life to be able to go on these trips and travel as much as I do. So yeah, my Instagram is really the best way to see what I'm up to and hear about my trips.
That's awesome. And so your next trip, where is it to?
Colombia. We're going to Colombia. We're starting in Cartagena. We're hiking to an ancient city, and then we're going to incredible beaches. So it's going to be an adventure.
I'm curious, like the more people that you get to reach out to you and go on these trips, I'm curious about the one day you're just going to have to tell somebody, I don't think you're cut out for this, because there are going to be people who probably think it's just going to be easy peasy. But when you're on that Lost City trek, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's going to be adventurous and worth it, but it's not like an hour of a flat hike every day. Right? Yeah. Like, this is something like you got to be ready for, right?
For sure. And I always make sure that the people who come on my trips know what they're getting into. So I'm not going to sell it as let's just go, have some fun at the beach. Like you have to fill out a form. You have to acknowledge that you know what you're getting into. You're going on a 29-mile hike. It's very clear what is happening. And so I make sure that everyone's cut out for it and knows what they're getting into.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. You're such a fun spirit. So thank you for taking the time to do this with me. And whenever you go on any of these trips, if you get some good stories and want to come back and just share it with somebody, please reach out to me. Please call me. I want to hear your stories. I live to listen to other people's travel stories. Now, I'm not saying I don't ever travel, but not as much right now with just a transitional job and stuff in life. But man, that's one of my favorite things to do, is just listen to other people's stories. So
Yeah,
hit me up
same.
so you can come back on and I can hear more of your stories.
Okay, great. Yeah, I love that. I will be back for sure.
Okay, good. All right. Well, thank you so much, Melanie.
Thank you,
You're
Starla.
awesome.
It's been a
Hit
lot of
Melanie up
fun.
on Instagram, and as soon as her website comes up, I'll post that as well, so you'll have all of her info. So, all right, bye.
Awesome. Thanks.
Attention passengers, we've now reached our destination. We hope you enjoyed the flight and have a nice day.